Breaking news from the heart of America's capital. This afternoon, just 2 blocks from the White House, 2 soldiers from the West Virginia National Guard were critically wounded in a shocking ambush. The troops were on patrol near 17th and I Streets Northwest, near the Farragut West Metro, when a man reportedly approached, opened fire, and fled. Let's listen to more details from the AP News reporter.
Shortly after 2:15 p.m. on Wednesday, 2 members of the West Virginia National Guard were shot approximately 3 blocks from the White House, according to West Virginia Governor Morrisey. The suspect who fired the shots was also wounded in the incident, but does not have life-threatening injuries, according to law enforcement authorities. We're at Connecticut and I Street, one of the most secure residences on the planet. And this area where I am is also one of the most heavily patrolled by an alphabet soup of federal and local law enforcement officers, ranging from the Metropolitan Police to the Secret Service. The things, talking to one of the witnesses who said she just heard 2 boom booms. She was stunned because she recognized this wasn't one of those areas either. And what caught her off guard most was then she saw small children running and people running. And she was thinking about, it's Thanksgiving, it's the holiday season, and it's a beautiful day.
Thank you, Gary. On what was supposed to be a calm and beautiful holiday season afternoon, authorities say the suspect, 29-year-old Rahmanullah Lakanwal, was taken into custody after the attack. Lakanwal, an Afghan national who entered the United States in 2021 through the Operation Allies Welcome Resettlement Program, was shot during the incident and is now receiving medical treatment. Officials report that his injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. The police chief, D.C. Police Department, Jeffrey Carroll, along with the Washington, D.C. mayor and the FBI director, briefed the nation as follows.
At approximately 2:15 this afternoon, members of the D.C. National Guard were on high-visibility patrols in the area of 17th and I Street Northwest when a suspect came around the corner, raised his arm with a firearm, and discharged it at the National Guard members. The National Guard members, there were other members that were in the area. They were able to, after some back and forth, able to subdue the individual and bring him into custody. Within moments, members of law enforcement in the area were also able to assist and bring that individual into custody.
As of now, no motive has been confirmed. But the timing and location, just before Thanksgiving in downtown D.C., amid heightened guard deployments, have triggered serious alarms nationwide. Some are calling it a brazen act of terror. Others warn this could deepen the already heated debate over immigration, refugee resettlement, and the use of military forces for domestic patrol. In response to the attack, the administration has announced the deployment of additional Guard troops across the capital. Meanwhile, local and federal investigators, including the FBI, have launched a full-scale probe. For now, authorities have not released the identities of the wounded soldiers, but their families and fellow service members are demanding answers and justice. Tension remains high across Washington, D.C., as residents process the shock of the attack. In response to growing nationwide concern, President Trump delivered an address to the nation, condemning the shooting as a cowardly and targeted attack on the men and women who protect our nation. He called the incident a wake-up call for the entire country and directed federal agencies, including the FBI and Department of Homeland Security, to intensify security measures in major cities and accelerate the investigation into the suspect's background and possible motives. Speaking from the White House, the president assured Americans that the government is fully mobilized and pledged full support for the families of the injured soldiers. He emphasized that protecting U.S. troops deployed on domestic missions remains a top national priority. The president concluded his remarks with a call for unity, urging citizens to remain vigilant and stand behind the service members who put their lives on the line every single day. As the investigation unfolds, the nation waits for further updates. Adapted from AP News, now listen to the president's address.
My great fellow Americans, earlier today, on the eve of the Thanksgiving holiday, 2 members of the National Guard serving in Washington, D.C., were shot at point-blank range in a monstrous ambush-style attack just steps away from the White House. They'd been deputized as part of the most successful public safety and national security mission in the history of our nation's capital, the D.C. Safe and Beautiful Task Force, which has achieved an unprecedented reduction in violent crime and crimes of all type. This heinous assault was an act of evil, an act of hatred, and an act of terror. It was a crime against our entire nation. It was a crime against humanity. The hearts of all Americans tonight are with those two members of the West Virginia National Guard and their families. The love of our entire country is pouring out for them, and we are lifting them up in our prayers. As we are filled with anguish and grief for those who were shot, we're also filled with righteous anger and ferocious resolve. As President of the United States, I am determined to ensure that the animal who perpetrated this atrocity pays the steepest possible price. I can report tonight that based on the best available information, the Department of Homeland Security is confident that the suspect in custody is a foreigner who entered our country from Afghanistan, a hellhole on earth. He was flown in by the Biden administration in September 2021 on those infamous flights that everybody was talking about. Nobody knew who was coming in. Nobody knew anything about it. His status was extended under legislation signed by President Biden, a disastrous president, the worst in the history of our country. This attack underscores the single greatest national security threat facing our nation. The last administration let in 20 million unknown and unvetted foreigners from all over the world, from places that you don't want to even know about. No country can tolerate such a risk to our very survival. An example is Minnesota, where hundreds of thousands of Somalians are ripping off our country and ripping apart that once great state. Billions of dollars are lost, and gangs of Somalians come from a country that doesn't even have a government, no laws, no water, no military, no nothing. As their representatives in our country preach to us about our Constitution and how our country is no good. We're not going to put up with these kind of assaults on law and order by people who shouldn't even be in our country. We must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden, and we must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country. If they can't love our country, we don't want them. America will never bend and never yield in the face of terror. And at the same time, we will not be deterred from the mission these service members were so nobly fulfilling. That is why tonight I can announce that I have directed the Department of War to mobilize an additional 500 troops to help protect our capital city. We will make America totally safe again, and we will bring the perpetrator of this barbaric attack to swift and certain justice if the bullets going in the opposite direction haven't already done that. During this time of the year, when we gather at home with loved ones, these two patriots were wearing the uniform of our country, patrolling the streets of our capital. They had taken a selfless oath to defend our nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that is exactly what they were doing when they were gunned down in a savage attack. I want to express my extraordinary gratitude to every member of the United States military who is deployed tonight, at home and abroad. I also want to thank the Secret Service and the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department for their work today. This Thanksgiving, I ask every family to say a prayer for the two great heroes who were so horribly shot, and for their loved ones. Please say a prayer. May God bless them and comfort them, and may God bless and protect the United States of America. Thank you and good night.
This is a developing story. We will continue to monitor live updates. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the bell and stay tuned as more details emerge.